Welcome again to our 15th annual First Nations launch competition. It'll be held April 26th through 28th, the final weekend in April, up here in uh, hopefully not snowy Wisconsin come then. So,
Sometimes.
so quick overview, welcome introductions, competition overview, reports and scoring, prizes and awards, recruitment, resources, reimbursements, all the major topics of the competition. So as we include in all of our webinars, this is the main primary FNL team. If you have any questions, you can reach out. Preferably start with myself and Connie, and then Mac, Frank and Mark after that. Normally we don't contact Bob or Kevin, but wonderful assortment of judges. Mark's made some great headway in expanding the list, getting us some more people in. I know Brittany Nez used to be a participant, and we're happy to have her back as a judge now. And for our 31 First Nations launch teams, the Gateway competition has swelled up to a lovely size of 9 teams. So Chief Dull Knife is our newest entrant. They came in at the December cutoff. So major items that we try to make sure all the teams have available. So we have different marketing and recruitment materials. We've sent those out. We can always send more if that would help for any team recruitment. So we have extra posters and postcards. We also have the digital files that we can share if that's easier for you to distribute on campus. As you heard when you guys were entering, we have a rocketry workshop to provide certification, level 1 certification to up to 3 members in a team. So our next one is actually coming up next week. So that'll be our virtual. We have a $4,000 reimbursement award that can cover any project funds that you need for buying parts for the rocket, travel costs for the teams, etc. We do have some guides in our reimbursement forms and instructions to help cover what restrictions there are that you can claim on those reimbursements. New colleges and universities, we try to send student reference books to aid in building up your rocketry resources on campus. And then, of course, we provide feedback 1 week prior to the next milestone. So I know that your next milestone for Gateway is actually going to be coming up pretty soon. So we do know that's going to be a tighter turnaround, but at least Gateway doesn't have as many deliverables per milestone. The SDs.
That's only applicable to Moon Mars, the 1 week feedback. Gateway teams get their feedback during the virtual reviews.
And then, of course, we do have another item to talk on about giving team feedback later in the presentation. Based on some feedback we had from advisors last year, they were hoping to have a Gateway feedback system just to help teams know sort of where they're performing, if they're on schedule, falling behind, or if they have issues that they need to address. So we'll try to have that rolled out within the next few weeks. But back to the slide. We've sent out some SDs rockets teams can use for their demo flights. Hopefully you've received those by now. If not, let Connie know. We can see what happened, or see if we can track any of that down. And of course, we provide the motor and casing at competition, and of course the ejection charges as well. And then for hotel accommodations, we provide up to 3 rooms for 3 nights at one of our partner hotels. And then of course, throughout launch weekend, we have assortment of food that we try to stuff everyone with. And then additionally, we have extra travel funds that can be requested depending on how far away a school is. So if you're pretty much it's based off of time zones, but depending on your distance from the school, could get 500, 1,000, or 1,500 additional in travel augmentation. So then there's always non-FNL support that you could reach out to. You can reach out to your respective state space grants. The schools on campus, your school might be able to do some support, student groups, or even industry partners in your local area. And then, of course, depending on how you need to utilize the funding, there's different ways that you can make use of those. A big thing is partnering with different companies is a way to promote outreach. If they can sponsor them for the teams, that would be a potential avenue. So big changes for 2024. We have the new NASA STEM Gateway registration everyone needs to complete. So that's all advisors and students. The mentors do not need to. We have a multitude of webinars. Next week, we actually have a Gateway project management webinar, which is new this year, that we appreciate ensuring that your team attends. Mark will be helping provide some guidance on project management to help the teams catch up. We had one earlier in the cycle, but this one will be more tailored to the Gateway, the abbreviated Gateway cycle that your teams will be participating in. We also have new office hours. So they're listed in the handbook and as well on the website. I believe the next one is actually this Thursday. So it's just a method for if any advisors or students have any questions, just come on in. You're welcome whenever. I have it for 2 hours, but if you need other times, you could always message me and I can always set up extra hours. We have additional handbook appendices, but those primarily refer to the Mars level of the competition. And then, of course, this year we do need have every team has to have a mentor. So we can work. Mark is really handy at helping link teams. So if you need support with that, please reach out, let us know. And then, of course, a big thing, rock sim submission. This is the best way that we have to make sure that the teams know what they're building and then, that they understand that. And the simulations can help us make sure that, we can catch things that the teams might have been overlooking. So we slight adjustments to the reimbursements. And of course, Gateway also has a new award. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So the STEM Gateway system, this is a new requirement from NASA. So as this is a NASA Artemis student challenge, we do have to follow some of the extra NASA requirements. So luckily, we've tried to minimize the onus this puts on everyone. So all we have to, all of the advisors and students need to do is just create a profile in the system. And then when you create a profile within this Wisconsin Space Grant, like our system for the competition, we ask you for the email address that you used within the NASA STEM Gateway, and that's how we can sort of track you and then connect you back to the competition. So we handle all of the back end. It is just the matter of just making sure that you have a profile. If you made one last year, it's just a matter of just make sure that it's up to date. If you can, just log in, just update, make sure it's current, and that way we can make sure everything's linked correctly. Of course, if you need any help with this, you could always just contact me during the office hours or send me an email. And of course, as you guys know, the competition, every year we have a different theme, and we try to have the challenges build off each other. So Gateway is the entry point. Moon is going to be a little intermediate, so it adds some engineering components. And then Mars is the heavy duty. So this year it's going to be up there and they're building drones. So it's going to be a fun, exciting year with some exciting launches come April. Of course, we do have lots of webinars and instructional videos available. So the webinars that have already passed, we have those archived on the website. We had a series of instructional videos created. Those are also available on the website. So it talks about different components of rocket design. So those would be really good for teams to go back and review. There's so much information that's available in those videos that unfortunately students will overlook or they just won't watch the video. and then come to us with questions that actually were answered multiple times. So it could be a way for them to avoid some pain points as they go through the design cycle or design process. So just to give myself a little bit of a break, I'll hand this over to Frank to go through the challenges.
Hey, thanks, Rob. This year 2024's Gate Challenge. As you can see, we're using 3 kits: the Lock Precision Yank Iris, the Lock Precision Easy Eye 65, and the Lock Precision Mystic Buzz. Most of the kits, I think 2 of them are dual deploy, but if not, please inquire about providing a dual deploy type design in your order when you order one of these 3 kits, because this year's competition for the Gateway is to have a dual deploy rocket. It's a straight rocket flight, but with added dual deployment. As you can see to the right, we have the power ascent and the cruising pattern of the coast as it comes at apogee. And the apogee altitude this year is going to be between 2,200 and 2,800 feet. And that should be in your report to your predicted altitude. I believe, is that true, Mark? Is there some kind of point system for the altitude?
They are eligible for altitude award.
Okay, great. Closest to your predicted altitude. And of course, at the top, we have a drogue parachute, which brings down the rocket quickly, but not drifting very far. And then at a predetermined altitude that you set on your altimeter, no less than 300 feet, your main parachute comes out. And of course, recovery happens in the field with a GPS would be helpful, or some kind of audible retrieval system on the rocket is required. Those are the 3 kits. They're very standard type 4-inch diameter rockets. I know the Easy Eye comes with a dual deploy, and I believe the Iris does too. The Mystic Buzz, I believe you have to add additional payloads if you have to. If you're not, I don't know if anybody's familiar with high power rocketry here. If you're pretty handy on high power rocketry and dual deploy, you can actually order another coupler and a bulk plate, 2 bulk plates, and cut the rocket 1/3 in half for dual deploy to gain more altitude. There's a way of doing it. And of course, you are going to have 2 motors, 2 types of motors that have been pre-selected for each kit. And we supply the motor. Wisconsin Space Grant supplies the deployment charges also. Oh, the Moon Challenge. Moon Challenge is a little step higher. Of course, we have the ascent and the coast, and we have the drogue chute. And at apogee, they are to deploy a lander of some type, and the lander has to come down on a chute all the way from apogee and land as vertically possible as they can. But there are ways to do this, and we're hoping it will be successful. And of course, this particular flight also is a dual deploy type rocket. You can see the drogue at the top, deploy the lander, and then the main at whatever desired program they have in their altimeter, no less than 300 feet. That also, they ought to have a GPS device on their lander and on their rocket. The Mars Challenge is quite a challenge this year. Same flight profile, apogee. Between, let's say we got 20 and 2,500 feet is the top ceiling of that apogee, and they must obtain that apogee. Drogue comes out. The drone comes out at apogee also, right after the drogue. The drone must be descend with a parachute to about, we're going to say like 450 feet. And the parachute must detach from itself before it reaches 400 feet. And the drone must activate itself to fly to a designated landing area. And of course, the main body of the rocket is capable of dual deployment recovery. Same scenario, the main comes out at a predetermined altitude, no less than 300 feet, with a GPS coordinates on it to recover the main body of the rocket. And all these rockets, Wisconsin Space Grant will provide the motors that are noted in the handbook.
Cool. Thank you, Frank.
Yep.
So, as always, our goal is to always have safe and successful flights. So your flight must achieve launch, stable vertical flight during the ascent. Recovery systems must successfully deploy, and then you must recover your rocket in a flyable condition. Last year, we actually had pretty good results between most teams. So as this is in the handbook, competition criteria for all teams. So it's major goals, make sure that your rocket is constructed the 90% ready to fly within 2 weeks of launch day. If I remember correctly, it's supposed to be 98 or 95 by when you get there. Pretty much just loading everything up, having to pack it for the launch is what you should be doing. Let's see. So scoring overview, this is mainly for Moon and Mars, so we'll skip over.
Yeah, just a note for the people here, no build, we will not have a workshop for building the rocket, finishing the rocket off like we had in the past.
Thank you for that. I think I have a small overview of the weekend in a little bit. So big thing, fly sheets. We do have new templates available on the rubric website. So I know it's one of the few deliverables that the Gateway teams have, but we have adjusted them this year, so it should just be pretty much one slide per one tab per file at this point for PDR and CDR. And then as we get to FR, then we also had an extra tab for fin fillets, or CDR and FR, sorry.
So, and then Rob, if I could, for Gateway, you guys will start with the PDR fly sheet. So when you go in and download the files, make sure to download and fill out the PDR fly sheet. Is your first fly sheet.
Yep, as Gateway, you guys just skipped the first milestone of proposal, but you're pretty much following every milestone from here on. All right. So this is an example, what it looks like. They're pretty easy to fill in. Mark has done a really wonderful job of as you go through, so as we get through the milestones, you may not see all of the text in each of these fields. If it's not there, that means it doesn't need to be filled out for that milestone. If you look at one of the future milestones, you'll actually see more of these fields. So come launch, the entire thing is going to be filled in. So this will help you guide you through that. And then as well, Mark also has included little tips if you hover over the text, like where it says motor brand designation, max average thrust. He's included tips to help the teams fill that out. And then of course we will have virtual design reviews, or we also call them oral presentations. So those will be coming up with each milestone. And then of course, we also have an in-person oral presentation launch weekend. So the schedule, I believe Connie has been reaching out to teams trying to coordinate that. So if you can, make sure you let her know how availability, so we can try to coordinate how to work that during the week. But it is a very tight schedule for that, so we cannot make too many adjustments. So when you can confirm a time, please make sure you understand that you have to hold to it. We can only make just a handful of adjustments with 31 teams, trying to make sure we meet with everyone within a week. And of course, flight readiness review. So this is the in-person launch weekend. So it's just 15 minutes, 6 to 8 minutes for the team to give the presentation, then a few minutes for the judges to question, and then we have a little transition scoring time. So we have a PowerPoint template, and then of course, teams want to work this out. At times the judges like to see the rocket in front of them. Sometimes they like to see, you know, pictures of the components labeled on slides. It's just different ways that you can incorporate all the information about your rocket in a short amount of time. So it's something to think on as we have time before launch weekend. And of course, we have the scoring rubric. Primarily, this is Moon and Mars. So we skip over. So on the website, we have it listed which competitions. A new one that we have this year we'd like to highlight is the Gateway Challenge. It'll be awarded to the top performing Gateway team. So with that, there's a review system that we are still trying to get the final touches on, but it's mainly to help provide feedback to the Gateway teams. So it's going to be based on a combination of factors of the fly sheets, oral presentations, attendance at webinars, just overall project management stuff. And we're not sure if we will have a website with this posted or if it'll just sort of be sent to the teams intermittently. That's one of those final details we're ironing out. But this was based off of feedback from last year's advisors meeting. And they were hoping to have a different way for the Gateway teams to be able to acknowledge where they're at in the milestones, make sure that they're meeting them correctly, or if they're falling behind, they can have a way to sort of identify that. But out of the teams that are doing well, if everything is fine, everyone's turning in everything in on time, all getting, top marks, everyone could be green, but we're still fine-tuning just how the rubric will break down so that at the end of the competition, we'll be able to designate, the top performing Gateway team. So just overall, we expect 4 to 6 members per team. Can be always structured in different ways, but this is just a general structure that could be used. I know some teams are still trying to form. That's sort of the trickiness with Gateway. So hopefully as your students come back from winter break, they'll be able to jump in and be able to take on some of these positions. So different tips on recruitment. So don't know if you guys are having issues or trouble or if everyone's all gung-ho. Different ways you could reach out is virtual recruiting events. We could have one of our FNL alumni reach out, do a Zoom meeting with, or if different clubs on campus are interested, in different ways just to potentially reach out to new people that haven't thought about, getting into high power rocketry. And I mentioned this earlier, we do have the training video series. So this is separate from the webinars that we host every few weeks. But these are a series of videos that we had created to cover, these topics, general information that help provide that baseline knowledge for each team. So we highly suggest the students go through them as they have free time, or if they're having trouble in a certain area, try checking out the video. It may have something in there that could cover, or check, any of the webinars. We do have the webinars from prior years also still up online. It may just be a matter of acknowledging that some information provided in a prior year may be applicable more to the challenge than to the rocket system overall. And of course, we always enjoy outreach to help inspire the next generation of students. So as your teams are forming, we would love to have them perform outreach within their communities, or either around the school or back home, wherever that is. But if they do complete any of that, we ask them to complete one of the outreach forms and then turn them back into us, and then that can be put towards the outreach award. And scheduling. So project management is always the biggest thing that we always hear is the hurdle for the teams, and it's understandable as they're students and these are the skills that they're picking up now. But as they go through, it's always helpful to have a schedule and consistency. But if it would help, we do have the project management webinar next week that Mark is going to be tailoring to Gateway, so to be more high level and specific to their challenge versus the project management webinar that we had back in November. It was a little bit more for Moon and Mars, so it went a little more in depth. But it's still welcome for them to go and review it if there's anything they'd like to pull from that. And of course, launch weekend, everyone will arrive on Thursday. Friday will be a nice busy day. Welcome breakfast, kickoff. We'll have the Rocket Fair motor build workshop, breakout sessions, final safety inspections and oral presentations in the evening. So as Frank said, we don't have time for rocket build workshops. The motor build workshop is really just assembly of like your motor for launch on Saturday. Some altimeter checkouts. It's very minimal time to be doing any major revisions. But hopefully with the kits that Frank has selected, you guys won't run into any issues, and then you'll be able to come with rockets ready to fly. And then of course, Saturday, weather willing, we will have a fun launch day, 31 teams. And then of course, we'll come back for a closing banquet in the evening. And we also have the keynote speaker of John Harrington. We were excited to have him come back for our 15th annual. And then of course, Sunday, in case the weather isn't cooperating with us, it'll be our rain date. And if we weren't able to sneak them in, any certification launches. So just pretty much more of the same. One item that we do know now, Northern Oklahoma College will be providing our welcome breakfast icebreaker. So that's fun. We have John Harrington as our special guest. And we are working out the details for the breakout sessions. So as we get closer, we'll have more details for those. And of course, the FNL website, we always mention it. We have a wealth of resources, and every year it just keeps growing. So always helpful to go and look through, check. The frequently asked questions section is in process of being revamped. So as you guys ask questions, we're getting those added in there. So that way every team has access to the answers that were being given out. So it hopefully doesn't come across as anyone having preferential treatment. Trying. Let's see, tools and tips, still more of the same. And then Mark, did you want to step in just for a quick brief moment on the mentors?
So every team requires a AAA or non-mentor. Your mentors are there to help you basically with the rocketry aspects. All aspects. Mentors are experienced in simulation and design and fabrication, and especially parts procurement. So this one's kind of important, especially for the Gateway Challenge. Some of you are new to rocketry, so it's good to have a mentor. We require that when you submit your NOIs. So I think I'm working to get some of the mentors. Some of the teams stood up with their mentors. The two on the call actually have mentors already. So you guys are good to go.
And of course, if you guys need help finding them, let us know. Thank you, Mark. So reimbursement. So this is different options for how you can handle that. It could be either through quarterly invoices or submitted individuals handling reimbursements directly. So either or, but that was your award documentation is where you decide how you want to handle that. If you ever want to change that, just reach out to our office, let us know. we can always handle making those adjustments. So again, on our website in the tools and tips section, portion of the website under the tools, there's a reimbursement request forms accordion. So it has all of the forms, instructions, any guidelines on like what can and can't be reimbursed. But of course, if you have any questions, reach out. We're happy to answer. So, and the forms have been revised. So in case you have any from prior years, just make sure you're using the current form because the mileage reimbursement has been adjusted for the calculation. And then of course, when the forms, you guys are ready to have them sent in, we have a new email address to have them sent to, the wsgc.accounts@carthage.edu. So this is just to help ensure processing of reimbursements is a little bit is more streamlined and not just all funneled to Megan in our office. So this way I can also jump in and help her review those. Our patch contest, so that'll be due next month. I'll make sure to have an email coming out this week with more information about it, as well as the forms to have the students submit. So it can be done either as a student or as a team. It's up to, however your teams would like to participate in this. So I'll have that come out this week. And of course, any of your social media, we'd love to have you hashtag it. I am FNL. And of course, same with WSGC for the consortium. And then I would also include your school, your space grant for your state. That way it just helps amplify the message. So lots of slides, lots of talking. Any questions?
Yeah, I had one question about the recruitment. Is there a deadline on getting people signed up for the actual? I mean, the sooner we get them, the more help they can be. Is that within weeks here, or?
So Connie, when was the deadline for the lodging
I can
list?
answer that. Yeah. In the schedule, you'll see that there is a lodging list that's gonna be due. Let's see, is that?
I know it's February, but
Yeah, it's February 26th is when you're sending in your lodging list, and that at that point, your team should be set.
we would hope.
Yeah,
And of course, even though we're suggesting it to be, 4 to 6, we understand sometimes it can be a struggle to get all the way up to there. So we have had teams come where it is just just a handful of students. So it is understandable. It's a struggle, but the hope is with a bigger team, it might help with some longevity of like having them be excited and come back next year and help build up that momentum.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've had teams of 2 students before, so it's not like you can't have a smaller team. It's just more helpful to you to have more people playing roles.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Come on, Kelly.
One would be, I was just thinking, Frank, with a cardboard rocket, when I go to paint it, is there a trick to making it a little more like smooth? Or we can look into that? Can we like? I know it said we can alter a little bit, but I didn't know, like, could we strengthen like the outside with a thin thing of epoxy or something?
Are you talking about the spirals?
Well, no, just to like, like it's a cardboard and if you paint it, it doesn't. I didn't know. I was just trying to research, like, I know like you can strengthen the outside by maybe putting like little epoxy or something. I don't know. I haven't looked into it all the way.
Oh, well, the tube itself is structurally sound for high power rocketry and, pretty
Yeah.
good impacts. Um, as far as, finishing it, for strength, you can put 2 layers of fiberglass on it if you want.
Okay, I didn't know. I just was thinking, can we look into like doing little things like that, or does it have to be original?
No, you can fiberglass the cardboard, sure.
Okay, I don't know if I'll get to fiberglass, but I was looking at I'll have my team look up like some methods and stuff I want them to do a little extra, so
Oh,
little
okay.
things.
Otherwise, you've done good jobs on using a finishing glaze on it to cover up the
Yep.
spirals. Gives it a little strength, right? And
Yeah.
a good paint job and a um, good coat of finishing coat on it.
Yeah, well, no, that's because I know there was a rocket I'm going to go with like 3-4 years ago, probably from Menominee or something. It looked like it was a fiberglass because it was so smooth. And
Mhm.
they just put multiple layers and I don't know what technique they used, but they basically took the cardboard and made it look really good.
They had theirs professionally done though.
Yeah, we're not doing that. I'm just trying
I
to
think
see.
I think it was Menominee that year that took it to an auto body shop and got them to finish their rocket.
Oh,
That I don't necessarily encourage. That was
no,
kind of
I don't.
we want you guys to do the work, not just pay others to do the work for you.
No, but
I
I
was gonna
thought if
say,
we learn, like maybe they
yeah,
had a
no, no. I think that the ones you're thinking of, you want to try and do, those were professionally done. They didn't do those themselves.
no, but I thought,
That's just good procurement.
If you're going to do anything extra, look into that fiberglass thing, Kelly. I mean, you can reach out to me
Yep.
too. I can help you with that.
Well, no, that's what I was just making sure that if we altered, we can like touch, because we can put a camera on there, right, Frank?
Yes.
Just a little one on side
Oh, sure.
again.
Oh, sure. That makes it more exciting.
Well, I'm just trying to find things for students so that they just don't do the same.
Mhm.
But I'll run them by. I mean, because like I thought, well, yeah, maybe if they can do little bits here and there, because I'm trying to figure out if they can test something just to add into it, more.
Throw some extra electronics on there, Kelly.
That's
Maybe
what I was thinking.
Arduino or something like that. You could fly inside
Yeah.
extra on top of the altimeters.
Yeah, that's where I'm just going is I want them to build a few extra things rather than just have it up and down.
Yeah, that's fine. You could throw some extra sensors or electronics on there if you want.
And the last one is I saw in the PowerPoint a Jolly Logic altimeter. Can we use Ravens?
Yeah.
Featherlight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Featherweight. Yeah, you can
Yep.
use it.
I just want to make sure because that's usually what we have. And
That Jolly Logic shouldn't be in the presentation because we've outlawed the Jolly Logic to be used. So wherever you saw it, Kelly, it's out of date.
yeah, it was in there on one of them, but I just want to make sure because we usually have Ravens and then we get a couple more each year or something.
I believe we use them for our workshop rockets, but they're not to be used on the competition rockets.
Oh, yeah, it's in your PowerPoint somewhere.
Thanks,
I'll
buddy.
look.
And then we usually throw a Raven GPS in there. So that's something too.
Okay.
We don't want to lose our rocket.
Make sure when you put the Raven in, it goes like this, not like this.
Yeah, no, that's well, see, we're used to using the Ravens and putting them, but they
Okay.
create their boards every year and they,
Yep.
we have a pitcher and then they have to wire everything. And every year they keep trying to get fewer and fewer and streamline the wiring.
Yep.
Hey, Kelly, I don't recall another project you could do. You could 3D print your avionics sled.
Yeah, we're planning on.
Okay. I wasn't
But
sure if
then
you
would you
already done.
fiberglass around it or is it strong enough?
The 3D print should be strong enough.
Because I know that, they compress a little and stuff. So,
No, it should be strong enough.
all right. How thick would you make it? An 1/8 inch?
Yeah.
As long as you're helping.
Yeah.
Because we got our 3D printer up and going.
Yeah, you can leave all that infill in, right? Like if you made like a deck,
Yep.
just leave the infill in it.
Yeah. That's a job for Eric and the electronics. I'll get them on it then.
All right. Well, if
That was
that's
good.
it,
All
thank you
right.
guys.
Yep,
You guys-
thanks.
You guys remember too that Rob has office hours about every other week. So if you have more of these questions, just look at the calendar and
Yep.
hop
Yeah,
into one
reach
of
out.
those.
Oh, that's great. And Kelly, thanks for all those ideas you just listed off. You get some-
Yeah, just steal them all. Well,
Ah,
I don't care. I just thought play around with the rocket rather than just leave it as all cardboard
No, that's excellent. That's really excellent.
and Frank, I'm pretty sure we have to use the same nose cone though, right?
Yes.
Because I know from last year. I just want to make sure. So
You
All
can
right.
do another flight if you want to do another cone.
yeah,
Kelly.
we did that last year.
Buy your own motor and you guys can fly again if you want.
Yep. We usually try to.
The only thing I'll allow a modify on a nose cone if you want to put a bulk plate on it. You know, cut the back off and put a bulk plate
Yeah.
for better positive retention point to connect your recovery to.
Yeah, I read on the lock precision, they said to cut in. That's why I asked for extra bulk plates.
Yep.
Because then I can sand them down. We usually put them in there and glue them so they're stronger with an
Yeah,
eye.
make sure when you glue the bulk plate that it's above the shoulder,
Yeah,
because otherwise that epoxy kind of swells the shoulder up and you can't get it in the rocket.
yeah.
Cool.
All right. Hopefully Scott doesn't steal all my ideas.
I think most of them are beyond our capability, but that
Oh,
doesn't,
come on.
now we got a goal.
There you go.
thanks, guys.
Yep.
All right.
Night.
Thank you.
Thank you.